Hello, and welcome to another episode of Myths and Stories, a Destiny 2 lore podcast. Today, we are covering part 2 of the book Dynasty. It has nothing to do with ducks, is what Myth has told me. And I am liable to agree with him. Liable is probably not the right word either. No, this is the book of the Qugu people. In part one, we did a little bit of kind of background on them. Spoiler alert: they're all dead. They've been wiped out. This was due to the Hive coming across them, and specifically Savathun's fleet taking them out on the Hive's conquest across the universe. But these books, I think we talked about it last time, uh, originally seemed like they were supposed to be like you were supposed to get one with Act 1 of the current episode, and then the second one with Act 2, and the third one with Act 3. And then there's like a little glitch in the game that was like, if you completed any three of those across any three characters, so like Act 1 three times, hey, you got all three books. Um, but it's a fun little. I say fun. I shouldn't say that the ending of an entire species is a fun little read, right, Myth? That's probably not the
Yeah, maybe
pro-
look for slightly different phrasing.
probably not the vibe we're going for here on this. But no, it's a very neat read. It's a very, again, I like look. Y'all know me. I love history, and so to be able to like look through history stuff and hopefully be able to learn something from it is fantastic. Like I enjoy that. And so yeah, this is I think we're just gonna jump right into this one, Myth.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of housekeeping, just real quick beforehand. And say last time had mentioned was trying a couple of things in regards to episode volume and those kinds of things. I've heard from a few people that sounds better, which is awesome. I know there's been a request or two to like pump it even higher. Unfortunately, we run into the realm of uh, not wanting to blow the eardrums out of the general audience to facilitate a couple of people that are in slightly outlier situations. So unless I hear across the board that there's a need, I think we're going to keep it where it is for the time being. Um, Additionally, there were a number of emails and some messages that we got uh, in regards to the YouTube not seeming to update very quickly compared to some of the other areas that episodes were releasing on.
How
Uh,
dare it?
I know, right? Like, the fuck. But so a little bit of inside baseball for people. We use a aggregate service called Podbean as kind of our hosting platform, and then Podbean is connected in to all of the other various places, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube that the episodes get distributed to. With YouTube, because it is a video, Podbean also generates the video for us and then automatically posts as soon as the video is available. That generation process seems to have been very slow as of late. So we're gonna see if they can sort it out. If they can't, worst case scenario is I'm gonna have to figure out a way to like pre-generate to try and manually post rather than use automation, but we'll see what happens. Just letting you guys know that's kind of what is happening, and keeping an eye on it. We'll adjust as much as we can. So those you know the messages and such are not unheard by any means.
Yeah. Long story short, we 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 do as much as we can on our end to push it out, but there are some things that are unfortunately out of our control, and
Yeah.
that just so happens to be one of them. That is we there it's all an automated process that we have no input on because we don't run Podbean.
Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately that is what it is right now. Like what Miss said, we're gonna try to wait it out, see if it's a just a thing that is on Podbean. Otherwise, like because we tried doing like our own videos, and when we compiled them and stuff, they were like, what was it? It was like 47 gigs or something like that. Myth,
Yeah,
some
it's a
crazy
lot.
number for like a
It's a
two
lot when
hour.
you take 2 hours and like of a visualizer in addition to the audio. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's a lot. So
uh
yeah, it that could be the other part of the thing is that like YouTube is not typically built to handle two hell honestly hour plus videos.
yeah.
So when you start hitting past that hour and a half mark, YouTube starts to be like, hey, WTF guys, and we're just like
Yeah.
deal with it. So yeah, we like what Biss said, it not unheard. We like we listen to all of you guys. You know us. We love giving shout outs and stuff and saying hi to everyone. So yeah, none of that stuff is unheard. We're just that is just how it is, unfortunately.
Yeah. Working with the bounds we have. So yeah, just wanted to do a small update at kind of the top of the episode before we got into the meaty lore bits.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so we are starting with chapter 2 of the Dynasty lore book. I'm intending to get through both chapter 2 and chapter 3 this episode. We'll see what happens.
They are meaty.
Uh, they are. Um, at the end of chapter 1, we had met Tikal, or Tequal, I think is what I used, who was the Qugu commander. I kind of put in charge of their fleet, and they had gone off to another star system called Satar, because their peoples there weren't responding. Essentially, something was happening there, and Tequal had been given this vision of the end of their race, for lack, it was essentially what it was, this gaping maw that was just eating all of their people in this vision, essentially. And when they show up at that Satar system, they're met by the Hive, who appear. I took it to be appearing from a astral plane kind of tear, which
Yeah.
Tequal saw as a very reminiscent of that, like that maw that was devouring everything.
Void
They
of like star, void of everything.
Yes, yeah. And they had a little I say little skirmish. Tequal like
Small
barely
decimation,
got
right?
away.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Small decimation. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What when they is like they showed up to like the front lines to be like to like get the mic checked out and be like, hey, we've been calling you guys for like 2 weeks. What's going on? And to show up and like everything's dead, and they're like, oh, this isn't good. And then all of a sudden they're mostly dead, and they're like, oh, GTFO, bro. Like we gotta. This isn't good.
Yeah. So at the end of that, Tequal was successful in being able to retreat. They were able to stay alive, and I think at least a little bit of their fleet. They went in with, I think it was 53 ships, and it does not sound like many of those came back with them.
Which, if that's a small amount of their fleet, I'm curious what they're like over. Because he was like, "We need reinforcements," and from the
Yeah,
sounds of what he was describing at the end of it, it sounded like whatever force that he was going to gather would hopefully, in his eyes, be enough.
yeah, or at
Um,
least even the odds.
right. So, I mean, to be hit with as much as they were hit with, and then for him to be like, "Okay, we need reinforcements, and I know where to get them from." That's a lot of firepower.
Yeah, yeah. So chapter 2 picks up very shortly after that retreat, and it is titled "To Split the Sky." Similarly, we're going to take breaks because this is a very long entry, but it goes like this: Hive horrors desolate every world in the Satar system before they come for Set, home world of the Qugu. They split the sky above the great mountain. Tomb ships and rippers spill from the tear, endless. Their assaults erode the diminishing might of the united Qugu armada. Tequal commands all remaining Qugu fighters in one massive fleet. Thousands of warcraft concentrated above Set's planetary defense installations to secure their sacred mountain groves. It was enough to deter a frontal assault, enough to protect the final stages of Set's evacuation. So, very small pause there. Yeah, this is pretty much what you're saying. They had a little over 50. They're now saying that there are thousands at
Yep.
their command.
All to protect that mountain that was mentioned in the first one. That was kind of like the beginning steps of their civilization.
Yep. Yeah. And that is this world. The Set is the planet that was kind of their origins and is now seemingly the last kind of bastion on their war front.
Yep.
And they are evacuating it. Their armada has been enough to deter the hive to allow for Set's evacuation. But it continues. Hive and Qugu battle groups skirmish just outside of Set's Carmen line, just outside of the range of hundreds of ground-based rail cannons. Tequal maneuvers the Qugu fleet to prod at Hive flanks without advancing on them. They must be cautious, not to overcommit and be enveloped by the throng of Hive ships emerging from the tear. They want to draw the Hive outward from the planet to deter, to scatter, before folding back to the safety of their own defensive installations. Larger destroyers exchange heavy fire with tomb ships. Swarms of Hive rippers chase dancing Qugu murmurations that beam searing fusion energy in twisting displays. It is a distracting spectacle that will not last. Below the blockade of war vessels, Qugu arc ships gouge acres of groveland from the surface of Set, lifting their sacred soil and ferrying it to the other side of the planet to await escort from danger. They prepare to journey to the last remaining gate, one that will take the Qugu to a new star. Tequal manipulates tendrils within their command sleeve and watches large craft and individual combat sleeve pilots fly in tandem. Tequal lives their experiences from the frenzy of battle to the deadened hopelessness of silence. They feel a warship buckling under Axion bombardments and focus their intent upon its battle group. Weaving combat sleeve fighters and shield drones between the warship and several aggressing tomb ships. Tequal projects their presence through the combat sleeve of a dead captain and leads a squadron on a counter run against incoming Hive rippers. They assess the balance as the warship shifts deeper into the safety of their murmuration to be replaced by fresher guns from the interior fleet. We're going to pause there.
So this is genuinely fascinating to me. They are literally cutting sections of the earth out and
Yeah.
just like we can't get people out of the area fast enough. So we're just going to cut the earth and move that. This is a highly advanced civilization. Like I don't think that can be stated enough. Like how highly advanced it is to be able to just cut just huge chunks of land out of the earth and then just lift them up and fly them out and be like, "Hey, get to the gate." And then of course the this combat is amazing. Honestly, like again, decimation of an entire species is I shouldn't be saying this is amazing, but from the fighter side of this, like this is really amazing. Like he's able to project himself through dead other members of his species that
Yeah.
are dead and like command and do stuff. And like that's I don't know why that's like really fascinating to me. The how the specifically to call and just the Qugu people as a whole are able to do this level of combat. Um, and then like the way that they're doing it too is how they're like as ships are like getting uh they're doing this really cool rotation thing of like as ships are getting damaged they're just kind of like shifting inward as the less damaged ships are getting pushed forward to now be like a new force. And so it's like you don't necessarily have to have a lot. It's if you can keep that rotation of like repair, move, replace, repair, move, replace, like you can kind of fight for, I'm not going to say indefinitely because that's unsustainable, but you can definitely extend the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the ultimate goal that's happening here. Like, clearly they are fighting a losing battle, but the ultimate goal of get whatever Qugu they can through this last remaining gate and get to a new star, get out of this system.
Yeah. And they have, for the moment at least, this like battery of anti-air weaponry that all of these skirmishes are happening like just outside the range of, probably by the intent of the hive, I
I was gonna
imagine.
say, like, we're talking Savathun. Like, she's not like I know her sister is the god of war, but Savathun's not dumb. Like, she knows exactly what she's doing here.
Yeah. Like a big part of warfare is information.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so they're doing these runs, these recycling of personnel and armada and stuff. Uh, and it continues where they have realized kind of what we suspected. Uh, Jayana asks impatiently, "Why do they not commit their entire force? They must know by now. Their numbers can overwhelm our installations. They do not attack because they do not have to. They lay weight traps to bleed us. Are you so eager?" Tequal feels Jayana's thirst for vengeance. We defend the groves and sacrifice Set. Jayana's bitterness furrows Tequal's beak. I feel them dying too. Tequal lets the battle fade from their eyes and looks to the distant Ark ships collecting groves on Set. I once thought I was destined to avert this doom, but I mistook that guidance. I was only meant to prepare us for it. Tequal impasses this perspective onto Jayana through the Will Weaver. Victory is never of singular meaning. Set will burn, but the Qugu may continue together. If we press now, Jayana pushes back, eyeing the growing reserve of hive ships slipping through the tear. Implode the omen as we did above. A hive flagship breaches the tear. A circlet of bleached white bone, shaped by death and cunning. The strange ship moves to settle high above the mountain of Set. Tomb ships change course to buffer its advance into the atmosphere as runes of jade flame burst around them, dissolving into obfuscating smoke. Qugu planetary cannons open fire, shredding any tomb ship bold enough to skirt the atmosphere and position themselves between their flagship and Set. Amidst the destruction, the Hive flagship begins amassing a singularity of soul fire at its hollow center. We're going to pause there again.
I mean, that's Savathun's flagship. Like, that's that
Yeah.
same one that we saw in the cutscenes at the beginning of Witch Queen. That's the same way. Like we jump across that, and that's how we enter. We go through God, I can't think what it is. The
That's how
portal,
we enter the throne world.
the throne world. That's right.
Yep.
I couldn't remember the name of the portal though either. Is it Ascendant Gate? Is that what they
I
are?
think so. Yeah.
Sure. Portal Gate doesn't matter. The names don't matter, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can call it anything you want. It's like, what do you call a dog with no legs? Anything you want. He's not going to come when you call him anyway. Uh, so yeah, it's this is clearly. I mean, that circle bleach white bone. That is clearly Savathun, and shaped by
100%.
death and cunning.
Mm-hmm.
Duh, kind of
Mm-hmm.
blatant right there. It is interesting that this idea that like Jagana definitely has this idea of like, well, let's just fucking throw everything we got at them and blow it up. Kamikaze, woo, save the planet. Like, and Takal's like, nah, no. Um, like his line there, victory is never of singular meaning. Set will burn, but the Qugu may continue together. Saying this planet, this hunk of rock is just that. It's a hunk of rock. Like, yes, it's sacred to us. Yes, it's bad that this place is burning, but if our people can live on, we can settle somewhere else. We will find another way to continue. So I
Yeah.
really like Takal's I don't know what to call it. His like muster, his boldness, his
Perspective.
yeah.
Yeah.
His line of thought is really interesting here, as well as like his like resolve of like, okay, I thought I was supposed to like I thought I was shown this vision to like prevent it, but now I understand like this is what I'm actually doing. Like I'm supposed to prepare. The vision was just to be like, hey, this is coming. Your people are going to die. Just be ready to run.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, Savathun's ship has appeared. It seems to be charging up some kind
Something
of thing, some kind of like attack,
giant
presumably.
giant hive beam into the mountain.
Yeah. Uh, and so the lore book continues. In the chaos between rail cannon volleys, Tequal sees a break in the tomb ship lines and directs hundreds of combat sleeves through the opening like a fusion spear. The ring ship releases legions of rippers and their forces become entangled in battle, but enough of an opening is held to maneuver the armada's right flank into the gap like a fulcrum. Tequal applies pressure, and hails of fusion beam energy trade blows with a storm of Axion projectiles raining from the enemy ships. When evenly matched in numbers, Tequal's superior tactics pick the hive forces apart. Their efforts pry the defensive hive line open wide enough for the Qugu rail cannons to thread shots at the circlet-shaped flagship. Tequal directs a command group to plunge below the hive ships, pivot, and then surge upwards through their center to sever them from reinforcements. If they can isolate the flagship, hold it within range of their rail cannons for only a few minutes, it could be enough to bring it down and halt the assault. For a moment, this idea holds true. The hive forces are bisected, their reinforcements rout and scatter as tomb ships fall to Set's vengeful rail cannon fire. Tequal is careful to keep their most distant ships close enough to recall to the main fleet should the hive turn and counter. The hive flagship detonates its collected soul fire without warning, sending a shockwave through its own ships, the Qugu fleet, and the planet Set. Hundreds of ships are lost in the wave, hive and Qugu alike, while those that remain intact struggle to repower their systems. I'm going to pause there again.
So I mean, this is just showing, like there's two things that are showing here. One, to call has all the confidence that even though his planet is going to fall, his people will live on, and that they're like he has this feeling of like, hey, we're gonna take down, like, if we can hit the cut the head of the snake off, right? Like if we can hit the main ship and get it down, that might offset them. The problem with that logic is the head of this ship and these forces in general are essentially undead.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really fully understand that because, again, the hive, I feel like in this point in time in history, the hive are still kind of a new threat to the entire universe. They're still very a young hive at this point in
Yeah.
time. And so it's not really known. Like, I mean, even the idea of the ascendant plane um, I can't think what they're called. Not soul shards. That's Diablo. Wrong game. Um,
The Throne Worlds, the Oversouls, the
Oversouls. That's what it
yeah.
is. Thank you. Myth has all the words for me tonight. Like they don't really understand the idea of oversouls and stuff like that. Like these hive are essentially immortal, and Sabathoons knows this, so she's like, "Yeah, I'll blow up 1,000 of them. I'll blow up 1,000,000 of my own guys. They're just gonna come right back. Like I don't care." And so for Sabathoon to like set this thing off and like kill, the hive and Qugu doesn't bother her one bit.
Yeah. No, and I think to clarify, uh, only Ascendant Hive have Throne Worlds and therefore can come back. So it's not that like every Thrall and every Acolyte and every whatever can just
Sure.
pop itself back after a lifetime. But like you said, Savathun doesn't care about any of those. Like
Right.
whereas the Qugu are, as any race typically would, are very much like, yes, engage, but they also want to protect as many of their own people as possible. The Hive are like, if the path to victory is over the corpses of millions of our own, that's fine. We have those numbers.
Yeah. Victory is
Like,
victory. Let's achieve.
yeah,
What's a million hive? I mean, shoot. The other day I killed 200 thrall in like 5 minutes. Anyway, like it's, you know what I mean. Like
yeah,
I guess you're right. I guess they aren't immortal, but they are endless.
yeah. I think that's the bigger part. The population of Hive is so extraordinarily large by comparison that they truly don't care about forces lost.
Sure.
Whereas that is definitely something I imagine Tequal and most rational beings would not take into account, of just a complete lack of like caring for the lives of your forces.
Yeah.
Uh, so unexpectedly, although it looks like, and like again, these are really tactful maneuvers that are being done here. This, like, okay, let's bisect the forces, let's try and like drive them apart, let's break their formations, let's get ourselves in a spot where we can hold this ship long enough that we can really blast it and hope for the best. Like, there's a lot of combat maneuvering that is happening here, all at the behest of Tequal.
Yeah. Again, showing the level of advancement of his people. Like tactics like that on a grand scale, like a warfare scale, that's developed over hundreds of years of having to go through that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I is met with the very unexpected boom from Sabathun's ship. So the rest of it goes like this. On the surface of Set, the mountain quakes. Great slabs of encrusted stone slough from its sides and crash into the sacred death groves below, burying the defensive installations and last few Ark ships still diligently working to save their ancestral grounds. As dust settles, the mountain shows a new face of deep black skin with carved trenches of resonating energy. A pulse blasts from the mountain's base, razing the surroundings and landscape and decimating the heart of Qugu civilization. The thing the hive had torn from the mountain groans as it slowly lifts into the sky, rising to meet the hive flagship. Tequal wrestles order back to the fleet and reconsolidates their forces, assuming direct control of entire battle groups where necessary. The sight of Set's upended crust burns into Tequal's memory. Gaps in the fleet meet Tequal with their absence. The silence from the surface washes over him. Tequal realizes they no longer feel Jagana. And the old lonely fear trickles between beats of silence. The invasion advances toward the rising, dark pyramid that was once the mountain. They blare roaring jubilation from their ships, howling at the desecration of the Qugu mountain. As the hive descend upon Set, Tequal orders a retreat. Frozen in extinguishing fear, in the silent scream of sacrilegious abandonment, in the paralytic end, the Qugu leave what remains of Set to the hive. And that's the end of chapter 2.
Jesus. Decimation. Just complete decimation. Like, I at first I was thinking that, like, it says the thing the hive had torn from the mountain groans as it slowly lifts to the sky, rising to meet the hive flagship. I thought that was like the what was it called in the first one? The like gaping maw that like they fed their
Oh, yeah, the jaw beast.
the jobbies. That's what I thought it was. I think this is just like a giant chunk of freaking land that just
Well,
went hurling into the sky.
I think it might be more than that because they specifically say um, the invasion advances toward the rising dark pyramid that was once the mountain. I think maybe the implication is that there was a pyramid ship buried under that mountain
Oh shit.
that they've come to free.
Oh shit. I was just taking holy shit. Okay. I was taking that as just like I didn't take that as like literal like dark pyramid. I was thinking, dude, that means that the beast within had hold on a sec. Did you just break me like 20 minutes into this episode? Like I just had like 1,001 like little like connectors just go click 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 and just be like, what the fuck? Hold the shit on. I was taking the rising dark pyramid that was once the mountain as just like a shadow, but you're taking it as like there is a rising dark pyramid rising out of the ground, and the fact that that means that whatever that beast was, I mean that would explain their connection to the darkness.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I mean that would 100% explain the connection to the darkness. That I like. Okay, so that fuck, dude, that broke me, man. Like I'm like connecting dots and I'm asking questions faster than my tongue and mouth can produce them. So, okay, so let's take a breath and break this down. If that is a pyramid ship that has now been freed, because that's what I'm now taking this as. The
Yeah.
hive came here to free a pyramid ship, meaning that pyramid ship has been there obviously the whole time that the since the beginning
Right.
of the Qugu
Since the
people.
beginning of the, yeah.
Whatever jaw beast had to have been a disciple question mark or a worm.
I don't
Oh, you think it was a
know.
worm? Like one of the worm
So,
gods, like Akka and Ear and all them?
well, I don't know how they would have been here, you know? And they describe the jobbies as almost a separate species. Like it's not just
Right.
one. There was like the first one, but they talk about harvesting them and that they are these like clam, like they describe them as mollusk like creatures.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
so I don't know
Okay.
that the jaw beast are from the pyramid, but I think for sure the
Like, do you think that
fact that like darkness resonates here and the people have been influenced by it and can use it is likely because of
because
proximity
of
to a pyramid.
yes, yes. So, are we thinking? Are we on the same mindset that like the jaw beast are not a intelligent creature?
I haven't
Like,
seen anything that tells me that makes me think they are.
okay, because that's my thought. Like, if I was the job because again, because it's close to the pyramid, my first instinct goes to, oh, pyramid disciple,
Right.
got to
Yeah.
be something connection there. Like, who was the disciple of this ship? Like, who drove this pyramid ship? Like, um, which then makes me think that like, okay, well, if somebody had to drive it, well, the closest thing is that thing right there that's sitting next to it that they're feeding themselves to, that is giving them visions of the future. Like, okay, so this may just be a case of like, hey, this thing was okay, similar to the Scarlet Hive, that they were close enough to the pyramid ship that they started to morph and have the
Yeah.
red
Yeah.
um spikes and stuff like that. So like this could just be like, hey, this one creature was just close enough to this pyramid ship that has been buried in this mountain, or the mountain could have grown up over the top of it. Like this could have just been like years of this ship just sinking into the
Right.
mountain. Um, and then being that close proximity to that ship, have developed some unknown connection with darkness, that then another species has come across and like fed them their limbs and was like, cool, now I reproduce and now I have visions because of darkness, that then evolve into this highly advanced people of the Qugu. Um, wow.
Now that does beg a question if we don't have a essentially who was driving this thing,
That's the
like because we
question.
don't have a real good person to point at and be like, ah, that was the disciple this belonged to. uh and the other question of like, how did it get here?
That's all of that, right? Like it's the same questions we had with the hive ship of the moon.
Yeah, although we did learn
Right, right.
all of
We've
those for the
we've
moon. Yeah.
found that out. That was Nezi's ship. It crashed here because Savathun stole the veil and was like, "Ha ha, sucks to suck, bro," and then killed him.
Yeah.
And killed him so complete that like nothing was left, except for a stick with a pointy end that was
The
off in a
glaive.
side. Yeah, that was just off in a side
Well,
cave, and
no, she killed him, but she cursed the body so that like he stayed dead, and then the Elixni showed up and carved it up and
oh,
distributed
that's
amongst
right. That's right.
themselves.
That's right. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And then we collected those, brewed them down to a tea, and woke up Saint.
E-
No, woke up
Osiris, but yeah.
Osiris. Yes. Sorry, Saint's on my brain right now. You know me.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so it does give us the question of like, how did this thing get here? Who was piloting it? Like a couple of just off the wall theories that come to mind for me are like, uh did it not belong to anybody? And was this is this the original Witness's planet
So
millennia later, and they're
that's
coming back to like reclaim some of the, some of the ships there?
that's what I'm trying to figure out too, because coming back to what is a pyramid ship, right? Like, again, kind of, we're getting a lot more questions out of this than we are getting answers. But thinking of what is a pyramid ship and where do they come from? The pyramid ships as a whole, the first iteration that I think we've ever seen of a pyramid ship is in that cutscene. Obviously, we've seen them throughout tons of cutscenes, but chronologically, the first time a pyramid ship was shown in history in its natural, like, hey, here's the first pyramid ship, was that cutscene with Zavala during Final Shape. when
Yeah.
he goes into the goo. Um,
I will say we did also see a pyramid ship built kind of in front of the traveler when Asa was telling the story of the precursors.
that's right. That's
But
right.
that's kind of like the same moment in
I
time
That's what I
as
was
what
thinking
Savala
too.
saw.
Yeah. I'm thinking that those are just showing the same thing from different points of view. And then of course we see it again in that little mock-up of the city
Yeah,
inside the raid,
in the
and there's
raid.
like
Yep.
there's clearly a pyramid ship like right in the center of the city and everything. Um, so to me, anything pyramid is clearly of that precursor race and was then adopted or adapted or both by the witness when they did form into the witness, and it was like, okay, cool, now we have pyramids. This is everything. This is home, this is travel, this is everything.
Yeah.
But again, because the witness is now a singular entity, each one of those pyramid ships are underneath its direct control. Now, again, we still don't fully understand pyramid ships as a whole. We
Right.
we know that typically a pyramid ship is linked with a disciple. Um, Rulx it was trapped in the throne world, and therefore Rulk was trapped there. Nezarex was trapped on the moon because Nezarek was killed, and therefore his ship was stuck there. The ship that we end up fighting Nezarek on was kind of like his backup ship, like his tomb ship essentially. That they carried his essence around, and he was able to reform himself. That's the Root of Nightmares raid. That's the ship that we're running around in on there. But any other ship that we've come across, which I guess the only one we've actually interacted with is the one on Europa.
Europa. Yeah.
But that one again has a chunk of the witness in it, and I guess that's the thing too, is if all of these ships have the dissenters in them now, because that seems to be the case. Like all of these ships
Yeah.
may be.
Any of those statues. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and because those dissenters are still technically part of the witness, all of these ships may not need a disciple.
That's
These
true.
ships may be all under direct control of the witness, which that brings a lot of fucking questions. Why did he just leave a ship chilling out here? Why did he leave one on the moon? Like, is he just
Right.
like, oh, ship left on moon, sucks to suck? Now, okay, that brings up another thing and explains exactly why the fucking K1 anomaly was on the moon. The ship was there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That was presumably was the statue attached to the ship that got dislodged somehow and separated.
That's I which if okay, god damn it, Savathun. She would have been the one to pull that thing out of it. Like, she would have been the only one to
Yeah.
know the connection going there between the statue, the witness, and these ships to like pull that thing out and then like plant it on the moon and be like, okay, do your whisper thing. Now, again, timeline of events wise, K1 anomaly happens. Like they send the team. I can't remember the name of the team. The first team that goes to the K1 anomaly, but obviously has
Yeah.
Clovis in with it. Um, and so
Well, yeah, no, that's a good point. Like K1 would have been before the collapse.
before the collapse, right? But again, if I'm still curious if like that was set there as like bait.
I wouldn't be surprised.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Savathun sets this thing here in secrecy and goes, okay, cool. K1's there. It's a dissenter. She knows it whispers. Maybe she knows what the whispers are about. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
So it's like to plant that there, and then maybe that's specifically why Nezarek sent. Well, not Nezarek sent. Excuse me. Nezarek's ship was drawn to that. Was like it's a connection there. There might be like a strong psychic connection or something. I don't know. This is very tinfoily hat stuff that's going on here right now between Myth and I. But
Yeah.
There are threads there enough that could be pulled at to be like, okay, this is why some of these things happened. So if all of that is true, what dissenter is with this specific pyramid on set?
Well, So I like the idea of maybe every ship doesn't need a disciple if it can be controlled by the witness via a dissenter. Because then that just that screams witness to me of like not only I'm giving this thing a purpose. Not only are you in
Yes.
timeout, but by you being here, I can also control this
Yep.
portion of my fleet. I
Still very chorus and conductor style too.
Yeah,
Like he has this chorus, this fleet of ships that he can still reach out and direct and conduct how he sees fit.
yeah, exactly. Now, I don't believe I wonder if a ship has a disciple, if a statue is not present, because I don't think there was one in Rooks anywhere that I
Ooh,
can
that's a
think
good
of.
question.
So it's
I'm like racking my
possible.
brain and like running through the raid in my mind,
Yeah,
like
I
trying to think:
know. Me
was there a
too.
statue there? Was there a statue there? No, no statue there. No statue there. No, I don't remember a statue there. There were statues. There were definitely statues, like the caretaker's place. There were definitely statues of like conquest and stuff like that. But I
Sure.
think you're
Yeah.
right. I don't think like I'm going through the jumping puzzle now in my head. Like I don't think there's a single statue in Vow of the Disciple.
So I
So maybe
wonder.
that is the key. Like
Yeah.
a ship needs one or the other.
So I that would kind of track with like maybe Nezarax didn't have a statue there because if it did, like the witness would have had a way probably to see through those eyes or know what that statue knows and see Savathun fucking stab Nezarec.
See, and that's the thing too, is how much of a connection does the witness have with these statues? Because again, the statues inside the traveler are the ones that are guiding us and telling us how to defeat him. Now,
They are,
granted,
but they also state they are a part of him but separated. And
yeah,
I take that to be there's still a connection there, but he has to be like paying attention to them
he
to
has to
like
like ping it.
reestablish what's going on
Yeah,
that like around them kind of thing.
sure.
One of those like out of sight, out of mind kind
Yeah,
of moments.
exactly, exactly. Which, and again, when it is drawn to his attention is when they're all calling out to Zavala, and then that's when the witness
Right.
cuts in instantly, and he's like he gets pissed at poor little poor little Targe. Uh, so yeah, I think you're right. I think there is like he's got to be paying attention, and the same thing with the statues. They've got to be whispering loud enough because they even
Yes.
mention
Yeah.
throughout all that stuff that like if their voices are many but they are so small and so quiet that like they can't they like if they talk too loud or if they say the wrong thing or if they say the right keyword or something like now the witness is just like keyed in on that and been like okay somebody's being another dissenter, let's cut his voice out again, like
Yeah.
keep shaping, keep finalizing, keep purposing. So yeah, but again, if all of that is true, then presumably some variation of either a dissenter or a disciple is with this ship.
Yes. And I wonder if it is a dissenter that is with this ship, and perhaps it is that through that dissenter that the Qugu over generation, like over their entire evolution, got in tune enough with darkness to understand what it is and like be able to use it in some capacity. And I also wonder if that dissenter has been whispering to them and like that is the source of that vision of the end.
That's got to be.
Is it like warning
It's
take
it's
all
it's too on
like
point.
yeah. Yeah, it's what they did with us. Like big bad is coming,
Exactly.
prepare yourself.
Build a fleet, and the first person they talked to was a megalomaniac, and so maybe don't talk to that guy. Find somebody else to talk to,
Sure.
right? Like, so Clovis builds the Exos, and like, okay, that is a way of existing and continuing, but they're still not understanding. Like, build more, and so then like the Warmind builds all of his stuff. It's like, okay, you're getting closer, but you still don't get it. Build more and either get the hell out of here, or build more and get the hell out of here. Um, so yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a it's got to be a statue. there's got to be a statue associated with this. If again, now again, this is reading very directly at this line. The invasion advances toward the rising dark pyramid that was once the mountain. I
Yeah.
took that as like the mountain itself was like blown off of its hinges type thing, like was
Sure.
blown out of
Yeah.
the crust, and now the mountain in the shape of a pyramid is just like floating up, rising out of rising away from the planet. But I mean it makes sense. It would make sense for there to be a pyramid ship here, because then again that's the darkness tie. That darkness just
Mm-hmm.
permeates from these ships. Like it's so concentrated here. That's literally what gave us stasis. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like that's how we ourselves were able to attune with darkness. So it would make sense here that the Qugu would also attune with darkness here. And again, the fact that they're doing it with these psychic connections, I'm curious if there's something Nezarec related here.
Maybe. There isn't anything we've seen yet to draw that connection
Sure,
exactly. Um, but yeah, I mean, Nezarec likes himself some psychic fuckery, so who
that's
knows?
true. Well, and I'm also curious. I had this thought too while we were kind of hashing this out between the two of us just now. I'm curious if the first Qugu, that first like cephalopod arm sticking out his nose bipedal thing, what if that was a disciple?
I had that thought too of like that was the original disciple and
And he was
they
dying or
started
something.
this race
Yeah.
or something.
Either
Yeah, I
either
mean
he
that's
either he
possible.
saw the writing on the wall like the defectors and was like, "This guy's bad. Like fuck the witness, dude. He's insane." And just like flew his ship off into the ground and was like, "All right, cool. I crashed my ship. I'm dying. Like my arm's torn off and whatever. And this is what I look like now. And I just fall into this beast. And then the beast was like, nom 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 darkness. Nom 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 cephalopod arm bipedal thing. Make more babies." And I don't know. I don't know why I
Yeah.
gave the jobbies the weird. I don't even know if they have thought patterns. Like I don't think that again.
Right.
I don't think that the jobbies are a intellectually advanced creature. It seems like they are just like a I don't know what to call it. They are getting not parasitic. We said it the other day. Symbiotic.
Symbiotic. Yeah.
They're as symbiotic as the Kogu themselves are. They're getting sustenance out of it and then providing this, psychedelic juice.
Which is giving them these visions, and that might be part of it as well. If those jaw beasts primarily like grow and gestate around this holy mountain that is this pyramid, like that might be why this secretion gives them these psychedelic visions, because like it has dark in it.
It's just literally feeding off of darkness. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be. There's too much of similarities going on here that, like, again, all of this is very tinfoily right now. The last like 20 minutes of us rambling here has been very tinfoily, but there are enough strings here to kind of connect and go, well, wait a minute, let's look at the big picture here. Let's look at some similarities that are happening here, that like this could be exactly what's happening here. But all of that aside, the Kogu, they didn't die
Yet.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
I mean, we don't know how it. I mean, we know how the Hive say it all ended.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
We don't know how this particular book will say it all ended. If it'll be different or the same.
But it seems like, again, like it says the Qugu leave what remains of Set to the Hive, and that like they are peace now. Like whatever they got, whatever peoples they got, they have gone through this final gate and left.
Yeah. And so that then brings us to chapter 3, which as of the time of this recording is still locked in the API and therefore not available on Ishtar Collective or Destinypedia or any of those others. So we are reading off screen grabs. Sat there with this book in game and like snapshot, scroll a little bit, snapshot, scroll a little bit, and wove those together. So I'm pretty sure I've got everything, but if I miss a line here or there, apologies in advance. But That's what we're dealing with this time around. So, chapter 3 is titled, and this is, as far as we know, the final chapter of Dynasty, and it is titled "The Cry That Echoes," and it starts like this: Set burns, and the armada drifts in ruin. Tequal guides what remains of the Qugu toward the last operational jump gate to their last safe star. They do not leave their command sleeve for the weeks-long duration of the journey. They have addressed the fleet many times, sought to bolster morale, to give them hope. What hope existed? Their speeches hang in concert, but have no presence in the mind of the fleet. As repairs are completed, ships too damaged to continue, the rest wait to jump. Tired tendrils slip from the command sleeve as it unwraps from Tequal's body. And their legs and four-limb tentacles numbly fold against the ground as atmospheric waste expels from hissing tubes that suspend the sleeve. The command chamber is small. Tequal lies in a circular, perforated indentation in the floor. Most of the surrounding housing maintains the sleeve and keeps the warden alive, alert. The remainder of the ship houses drones, support systems, and automated functions. Exhaustion keeps Tequal motionless. Centered in the indentation in the floor, the fleet orbiting around them. They need rest, sustenance, but most of all, they need guidance. Isolated from an ark ship in which to seek the ceremony of a jaw beast, Tequal depresses a plate in the floor and releases a mist of nectar into the command chamber. The name Tequal begins to fade, but as they dream, they hold it in their mind. I'm going to pause briefly there.
So they've have they? Hopefully, I'm understanding this right. They have a job east with them.
I don't think it sounds like the Ark ships have a job east or have job easts. Tequal is isolated from the Ark ships, but has some nectar that's been stored and essentially is hotboxing in their command center.
I feel bad that we've turned these people into just a bunch of drug addicts. I genuinely feel bad about this. Uh, but I mean, when it's described as a psychedelic drug, like
Right.
that's all I have to go on. So that's what I have to work with. Okay, so I like, man. I mean, obviously, I mean they're at least alive, but I mean, I
Morale
guess
is
what?
low.
Yeah, yeah. What I guess what would you take an arc ship to be the equivalent of? Would that be like a Savathun's size mothership, or would that be more akin to like, um, I guess like I'm in my mind I'm like going through like different battle cruiser and stuff. I'm like, would that be a star destroyer, or would that be like the Millennium Falcon, or like clearly it's not an X-wing. Like those are just individual fighters. Like this is an X. Like what type of ship do you imagine this arc ship to be?
Yeah, say in my mind, when I think arc ship in relation to a spaceship, I think of something very large, something that is built, with the main purpose of housing a civilization.
Like like
Uh,
like a Noah's Ark ship.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. I'm seeing the similarities there. Okay, so something big, something clearly housing a lot of people and a lot of stuff. Could possibly have chunks of land just chilling in its bays.
that was sliced up. I think some of them do,
Yeah.
because yeah, like I see this as arc as in like to start a new colony was
Yep.
probably its intended
Yep.
use.
Yep. Yeah. I keep pulling from references, so now I'm thinking of like the ship that Thor got on at the end of what was it, Ragnarok?
I
And he had all the
mean,
people,
kinda.
and they're like as Asgard's getting demolished by is it Suramar? God, I'm doing good at pulling some of these names, man. I don't know where
Yeah.
these names are coming from. I don't know why this stuff is sticking with me, but I don't. Anyway, his homeworld's getting demolished, like they were all like flying off in like this Ark style ship with all their people. Like we'll make a home somewhere else. So okay, that makes sense to me then. Like this is going to be so these Ark ships are going to be kind of like the central command of this fleet. They're going to be the big sections. Um, Presumably they have these jaw beast on them. But I'm curious if now that these jaw beasts are away from this pyramid, is that causing a diminishing effect on the nectar that's being
Right.
produced by them?
I I would think that eventually it probably would, but I don't think the immediate removal of proximity is probably going to have a like, oh, it just doesn't work anymore kind of effect. I
Right.
think it'd
It'll be
probably
a
be
residual
over
thing.
time it
Yeah,
will
yeah, yeah,
slowly
yeah. Yep.
fade kind of thing.
Yep.
Uh, yeah. But yeah, so Taqual is like has tried to keep spirits up, has tried to give, the motivational leadership speeches, and like they're heard, but they don't resonate. People are pretty
I mean, they
pretty
just lost
down.
like
Yeah.
I say they lost their home world and their sacred mountain. They lost 4 solar systems worth of space.
Yeah.
Like we saw this in the beginning. Like the sector that they went to was one solar system in the beginning. That then the hive like drove them back, and they were like, we need to retreat and regroup at home. All 4 of those star systems are now decimated.
Yeah. They are just they are refugee. They went from multiple solar system culture and society to like refugees in search of a home in the course of a very what appears to be a very short amount of time.
I mean, this seems really similar to Reese.
Very much so. Yeah.
And just being scattered now. And I mean, again, their dependency on this go juice, jaw bees go juice, whatever, is extremely similar to ether, with the hive or
Yeah.
with the elixir rather. So yeah, it's a collapse is a collapse is a collapse, and we're seeing the remnants of this particular collapse.
Yeah. But Taqual is, using this nectar to try and presumably reestablish that link with ancestors in that way of like being able to communicate with ancestral spirits, for lack of a better term,
Trying to get some type of
and get
answer.
guidance. Like, what
Yeah.
do I do?
Like you showed me the decimation. We lived through it. Now what?
Yeah, essentially. Uh, but yeah, so as they're in the throes of this vision, it continues and says, Taqual stands across a dark, domed room, 50 paces from Te Daru, the Qugu whose tentacle pulled Taqual from the silt, who taught them to commune with the line of warriors and become a banshee shrieking across space. They recited the legends that tamed foreign stars. What do you intend to do, Taqual? Tedura's voice echoes through the dim room. Between them, a large holographic display, clarified from the dark blur of unfocused memory. 2 fleets opposed each other in the display. One is surrounded. Tequal looks to Tedura, again now wrapped in a command sleeve. Do you concede? No. Tequal remembers this day. They defeated a superior officer and earned command. This was a test that they were intended to fail. No, Tedura asks, flicking a tendril to motion their ships closer. To the last, then. I remember this. You believed I would concede and closed in. and then I detonated my fleet and took yours with it. Suddenly, Tedura was beside them. Another form of victory. I have failed us. I did not understand our ancestors' warning, Tequal whispers. Then listen closer, Tedura says. This, they gesture with the tentacle, an unwinnable scenario. The display shifts to a different theater. This, Tedura begins. Murin invasion, at the outer rim. Tequal finishes, now viewing the 20 incoming carriers from a command sleeve. Our line of Te, your ships, broke them. Tedura's voice cuts cleanly through the dream. Your maneuvers. Tequal strains to maintain control over a dozen war pearls. The aggressors chase Tequal's unpiloted ghost fleet across space, distracted, as other Qugu piloted command sleeves sabotage each Murin carrier one by one. Lone flew the battle group. How many others can do so? And when at last you engage them, Tedura exceeds a wheezing laughter. Their fighters won't launch. Their weapons overheat. Their shields lose power. One battle, and war tides turn. Tequal coils and flicks their main tendrils in consideration. I have won great battles. They do not come without sacrifices. I have averted great losses by inflicting my own. But these hive. The display shifts to a different theater. Tedura pays Tequal's doubts no mind. So we're going to pause for a moment there.
Yeah. So obviously the vision juice is kind of working. In the beginning, he's seeing like a rather than a vision of the future. He now I guess he is still connecting with his ancestor, right?
Yeah.
Like they're
Yeah.
still like, for lack of a better term, they're still Yodaing up in the corner, right? Like they're still like Jedi.
Yeah, there's still a Force Ghost going on
Jedi
here.
Force
Yeah.
Ghost going on the side. The question is it pre episode 3 or is it post episode 3 where they've re-put Anakin back as the guy from episode 2 or that, you know what I mean? Like anyway. So I don't know why I can't even think of the actor's name. It doesn't matter. So they're still having this vision and everything, right? Like but you know, this vision is recalling to him like, "Hey, do you remember when I, you know, tested you to like essentially promote you to like get you to the level that you are?" And then of course he's recalling this like this battle training exercise they had, and he said, "Well, you know, you had me by the throat, like you had me down, and I was like, nope, I still got a thermonuclear device in my back pocket, boop, and killed both fleets." Like, yeah, I mean, I guess technically you won, but did you? Like, is that really winning? I don't think that is. Mutually assured destruction, mad. That's what I think that is. Um, but then he goes on. The vision, the Jedi Ghost vision, goes on to talk about another battle that they had that was an actual battle between some invading force and whatnot, and he was able through even in that battle, Tikal was able to uh, just out like it to me it seems like Tikal has this natural ability to strategize. Now I'm making up Texas words. Uh, but it does. It seems like he has this innate ability to strategize in the heat of battle and to get a tactical upper hand, no matter where he's at. And I think in this moment, in this cold, dark space in his, you know, cut off cockpit or whatever wherever he's at right now, having this vision, he's feeling very defeated because he's never had that true level of defeat. It's the Oh God. Now I'm just gonna pull from every sci-fi everything tonight. That's just happening. We just need to do that tonight. It's the Captain Kirk syndrome, where like he doesn't know how to lose, and so like
Yeah.
when he does finally lose, it's the most defeating thing ever. Like the whole like was it the Kurobashi Naru? I can't remember the name of
Yeah,
the
I think it's Kurobashi Naru. That
is
sounds right.
is
Yeah.
that what it is? See, I'm remembering random words tonight, Myth. This isn't good. Maybe I'm having a stroke. I don't know. Uh, call the Bondulance. I'm having a stroke. No.
Kobayashi Maru. That's what it
Kobayashi Maru.
was.
That's what. Thank you. Thank you. I knew somebody was going to yell at me for that. Somebody in a comment somewhere was going to yell at me for that. So yeah. So like for him, he was like, well, no. When they were going through the academy, nobody had ever won that thing. Like it was designed to show captains, hey, you're gonna have to make life altering choices. You're going to have to make decisions, and you're going to have to take responsibility for those decisions. Well, Kirk just saw that as like a lose-lose situation and was like, well, I'm just going to reprogram it to where I actually win, and then I can't lose the situation. To have that level of arrogance is detrimental in a command situation, because then when a situation like that does arise, because in any type of wartime scenario that situation will arise, it's harder to make whatever hard decision you have to make, and B, live with the consequences of that decision. And so I definitely think that Tikal is having that level of like struggling with himself right now. Like he is very convinced he screwed up. Like he failed here. Like he didn't protect Set. He didn't protect his people. But then on the flip side, this vision is like, well, I mean, you're not out of options, but maybe take a second for a breather.
Yeah. Just maybe.
But so far, it sounds like these people are going to live.
I mean, we're not done yet.
That's what I keep having to remind myself that these entries are fucking long.
Yeah. But yeah, so there is this vision of Teodora, this parental figure, or as close as the Qugu seem to have to a parental figure that guided Tequal through life and through uh, seemingly through their like military advancement as well.
Yeah.
And so they're seeing this vision of this person, and they're saying like, yes, I know I've won great battles. You know, I've had amazing strategies. I've been able to avert losses, but this is different. These hive are different than anything else we've faced
Yeah.
before. And so it continues. And it says, Teodora pays Tequal's doubts no mind. Tequal drifts through space within a thin, bloodied combat sleeve. Mechanized tendrils still hot with fusion discharge when the gate fell silent. Zetar lost concert with Seyugun. The Qugu fractured. I felt it bring despair to your spirit, as I said to you then, Teodora says. Years. Apologies, I had a bad cut in my images. Teodora says, years of existing out of concert drove them to uprising. Your decisiveness ended it. Your diplomacy forged peace. It is why you were made warden. Tequal remembers their decisiveness differently. A clandestine detachment of combat sleeves, a raid of burning spears. You remind me. Not because you forgot, but because you have been hopeless before. Teodora rears into a taller position. There is victory in that darkness. A kind. Find it. And then some time passes before the next entry here in chapter 3. The fleet passes through the gate, a few vessels at a time. As each ship slips from Taekwal's awareness, tiny etchings incised into the gate flare with jade flame. Taekwal slips through the gate and exits into wreckage and confusion. Ark ships fracture and implode as holy ground bleeds out into the vacuum. At the other end of the gate, they did not find the last Qugu star of Seotan, but instead a wall of hive tomb ships surrounding their bone-white flagship, flanked by the Qugu's desecrated mountain, now a black void of malice carved into the fabric of space. Old fear. In the shadow of the pyramid, Taekwal grasps the fleet through the command sleeve and rallies their captains and battle groups into defensive murmurations around the remaining Ark ships. Fusion beams cut in every direction. Hive rippers pierce Qugu warships and combat sleeves like screaming needles. Behind them, the gate is nowhere to be seen. There is no tear, no exit through which to flee. Before them, the hive ships outnumber their fleet hundreds to one. A strange realm, a mirror of reality, encompasses them. So we're going to pause again briefly.
Well, shit. I had like a glimmer of hope and then was like, oh, they just gated directly into the Ascendant Plane. Shit.
Yeah.
That's not good. So essentially, that's basically what happened here is they go to retreat, and where the other end of this retreat gate should be, which should be another one of presumably another one of their star systems that they have. Um, it's just completely encompassed in Ascendant Plane. Like the Ascendant Plane has just been pushed into this reality, and they have gated directly into the Ascendant Plane. And Savathun's there, and clearly the mountain is a ship.
It seems that way
From this point of view now, like hearing it through this passage, that is a pyramid ship, which means all of our previous thoughts are more valid than they were 10 minutes ago.
Yes.
So yeah, it's I mean, clearly disheartening, like disheartening, disorienting, like it's definitely a level of like, well, shit.
Yeah.
You know, like you're there is no hope here.
Now, something that is interesting is at the site of the pyramid. There's just like a line break, and then colon old fear colon. And then line break, and then into the next paragraph. So it's almost like a like expression of feeling.
Yeah.
At seeing the pyramid is this expression of old fear. And if you go back to the very first chapter,
I was gonna say that level of like how they typed it in there sounds familiar.
In the very first chapter, when it describes that first Qugu like giving themselves up to a jaw beast to essentially like fertilize the ground around them and in a way reproduce, there is a line that says Tejuna cries out alone, extinguishment, the old fear, shared burden. And they are all typed in that same way where it's like colon word, colon word, colon word.
I'm thinking that this first I'm thinking it was a disciple, man. That was like it either defected or was like on their deathbed or something.
Something, yeah. Like it's such an odd, like, that the gut reaction for Taekwol would be, that's the old fear. And to also have like that same thought process going through the very first Qugu, presumably the very
Yeah,
first Qugu, like, yeah, there's a connection there,
it's
I
real
think.
similar. Real similar.
Uh, but yeah, just they exit out into wreckage and ruin, and unless something happens, no hope for survival.
Yeah. Well, you never know. You never know. Like the traveler could just show up and just no, no.
Because it makes such a habit of showing up places instead of running away from places.
I was about to say like no, no, no. The
No.
traveler doesn't just like it's not a genie. It doesn't grant wishes. Like
Mm,
no, no.
no. What they need is an Ahamkara to show up.
Oh shit. Could you imagine? Like
uh,
a wish made that close to something like I mean,
who knows what would happen?
that's crazy. That's just that now you're just crazy myth. But again, the entire Destiny universe runs off of Savathun fuckery and Ahamkara magic. So yeah,
Yep.
wouldn't be surprised.
Yep. But so they found themselves in the Ascendant Plane, and the chapter continues. Dozens of hive ships fall, and countless rippers burn for every Qugu vessel lost, but attrition does not favor them. Taekwal holds the fleet against the horror of the hive, but their strength wanes. Taekwal fades through the silence of his ancestors' fear. Suddenly, a dreaded pillar of darkness, another hive ship, tears through the nothing of space and bursts into the fray, crashing through several tomb ships and dashing them against its hull. Hive ships turn to confront it as it barrels directly for their Bone Ring flagship. The two massive vessels exchange destructive barrages of fire, decimating all other surrounding ships in thundering bombardments of soulfire cannons and Axion bolts. The pillar ship emits a thin pulse as the dark pyramid had done as it burst forth from the mountain on Set, and the pulse slices through the ring ship like a cleaver, waves of green fire erupting through its hull. Taekwal, seizing the moment, capitalizes on the distraction. They draw in all remaining Qugu vessels and press forward toward the pyramid. Taekwal communicates their intention to the fleet and maneuvers them into a valiant charge. If they could not destroy the hive, they would take back the mountain. Taekwal places themselves at the point of the assault. Qugu's ships snap into formation behind them. Taekwal draws the entirety of the fleet into concert to hear their voice, their words impel the charge into being. For Set. The armada surges, agile combat sleeves racing ahead to clear a path for the larger host of ships. Taekwal feels the presence of the Qugu line extending back to the first, and they move as one, weaving between the ship fire and debris. Taekwal closes their eyes to feel the fleet through the tension of their link. Reaches behind them to the Death Grove cores of the Ark ships, to their ancestral lines, to those whose memories they carry with them. The darkness that binds them resonates through the fleet. I'm going to pause briefly there.
I mean uh Oryx.
Yes.
Like that's the first passage that we read of Oryx like showing up Savathun like, hey, left your flank open. Got you, buddy.
Yep.
Like they're out there playing games with each other while this other race is being decimated.
Yeah.
That's I don't know why, like I never really truly made that connection here. until like that exact moment. Like the Hive are so powerful in this moment. And again, this is still early Hive. This is, I believe, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but if this was verse what 3-6 or so in the Book of Sorrow, this is pre taking ability Oryx.
I don't know. No, because if
No,
Oryx has the dreadnought, that's Akka's body.
that's right. That's Aka's body.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's
So
how he
this
learned
has
to
to
take.
be post
Okay,
taken.
so he does have the power to take, which would also explain the pulse coming out, because that would be his
Yeah.
extension of the ascendant plane. Yep. Um. Okay, so this is a Oryx that has the power to take. That's just fucking with his sister, which is
Yep.
in the middle of a decimation. Like,
Yeah.
I can't even call this a battle anymore. This is in the middle of a decimation of a species. Which then obviously species B, the Qugu, sees an opportunity. It's like, oh, well, these two are gonna fuck with each other. I'm gonna join in. Like, cool. Like, let's decimate
Take
that
advantage
guy.
of
Like,
it. Yeah.
thanks, buddy. Like, not knowing that like they're actually both of those sides are against him. Like, I don't know. Enemy of my enemy, even though it's my enemy's best friend or sister or brother, sister, both.
Well, and
Yeah,
they don't know any of that. They just
I
know,
know.
hey, another Hive ship showed up.
And it starts shooting the shit out of this other one. Like, what the hell is
Right.
going on? Yeah, but and again, it still comes back to they are intent on taking back. Like, if we can't do anything else, we're taking back our mountain. So
Yeah.
I'm starting to think more and more that mountain wasn't even like they can recognize it. I'm starting to think more and more that mountain was not a mountain.
Maybe
And
it might have been a pyramid ship.
I I
Maybe
think
it
it was
wasn't caked over kind of thing.
exactly.
Yeah,
I think it's
maybe.
been a pyramid ship this whole time. And it's just obviously that big, looks like a mountain when sitting on the land. Like, if you have no knowledge of what a mountain should look like or whatever, like if that's the only mountain you've ever seen, then in your mind that's what a mountain is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I'm starting to think more and more that this is just a pyramid ship that could have quite possibly may either landed or crash landed or a defector or something. I'm latching more and more onto the idea of the Qugu, the original one was a defector. Uh, sorry, was a possible disciple that then turned defector against the witness. So
I could see it.
not an actual dissenter, not a needs to be cut out statue,
Right.
but like more of a Rulk. Again, not a Rulk, because Rulk is the last of his Lubraean people, but this thing, this cephalopod bipedal on one arm tentacle body main thing, was I think was a disciple and was the last of its people, and then defected here and was like, cool, I'll die free, and then gave itself up and then turned into mini babies and
Yeah.
created the life cycle of the Qugu.
Yeah. No, I could absolutely see that being the case, and I think there's some evidence that supports that for sure. So, but there's this final charge
Yeah.
by Taekwal that, yeah, like if we can't take them down, at least we can take back what's ours and rob them of their prize at the same time. And so everything, all the way, like that spiritual like ancestors all the way back to the first are kind of are resonating with this like fuck them kind of moment.
Yeah.
As this fleet is charging in. And the chapter continues saying, Taekwal flexes their tendrils and commands the deployment of all drones in attack mode. The Qugu collapse to form a phalanx and drive forward to impale the cursed thing that was their mountain. Taekwal calls to their ancestors, drawing energy from the Ark ships into the fleet, fusing the beams with ancient power. Guide our fire. The darkness-linked fury of generations turns the beam resonant. It strikes true, impaling the pyramid's obscene hull in a fatal wound. Their final stand forever branded into the pyramid's flesh. The hive battle falls silent. A flash of orange. With the pyramid's dying wail, Tekal feels the presence of their ancestors, not as a distant guide, but as equals. The resonance wave washes over them, and Tekal hears voices as if echoing from a dream. Noble commander, do not fade. Take our hand and find salvation. They see the line of their people extend through them, through all of Qugu, through darkness and death and memory, all swept into an obliterating echo, and then nothing. And they extinguish together. And that's the end of the Dynasty book.
Son of a bitch. The witness was playing him the whole fucking time.
Now, I have a theory.
I mean, the whole, like, come on. The salvation thing, like, we know that is witness talk now. Like, we know
100%. 100%.
that anything salvation related, like, I know you and I had, you definitely had a theory at one point in time that, like, the salvation thing might have been when the mirror was talking to us at the end of Shadowkeep, that mirror, instead of being the voice, oh wait.
So my original thought was that the mirror version of ourselves was
The voice in the dark.
the voice in the dark,
Right.
which the winnower, the real winnower.
Yes.
And was not the witness. I don't know that that's the case anymore. Like, it's still kind of a toss up now.
Right. It's very questionable right now. But if that idea, because salvation to me, well, now granted, the raid is called Salvation's
Edge.
Edge.
Yeah.
Wait, what is Salvation? No, Salvation's Grip.
Garden
of Salvation. God
not
damn
that
it.
one either. There's too many salvations.
You can't keep doing this, but you can't use the same name for everything, Bungie, because you'll just fuck me. Okay, so I'm having a hard time grasping who is when darkness is talking to us throughout the history of Destiny.
Yeah.
When salvation is used, is that the winnower or is that the witness? There's so what was the fire team that the same thing happened to them? The Kentark, right?
Kentark 3. Yep.
Yeah. Was the salvation mentioned there too? For some reason, I remember. For some reason, I'm remembering it was. And again, that there was that mirror image thing that was happening there too.
The mirror image was for sure there.
That was 100%, because they were literally seeing themselves talking to themselves in that little like scene between scenes, and then they all went fucking nuts afterwards.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm starting to believe more and more that anything that is salvation related is winnower, is true winnower, is actual, like, one of the two forces that created the world of Destiny.
Maybe.
Which, if that is the case, then that means that the winnower actively played a hand here.
Well, before you get too deep down that rabbit hole,
okay,
I want to point out a couple things.
Yes.
That may solidify what you're thinking, may be counter to what you're thinking. So we'll see.
God damn it.
Just because I don't know, like, all the connections you have made internally. So this might help some of those. It may not. But slight, very slight spoiler for the latest content drop. When you listen to the radio, like the radio transmission for this week at the end of the actual like quest line for the week.
Is this the XF XM 107.1 failsafe radio?
Yes, that one.
Those motherfuckers. I had to for anyone who I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm going to give a quick
Yeah.
like informational thing. FM radio goes from 88.9 to 108.0 megahertz. And so for it to be 107.1 is essentially like the end of the radio for the FM spectrum. And it's for the fact that they called it failsafe message is FM. So yeah, that's just a cute little like which again, all you electronic nerds out there know that there's AM and there's FM. AM is amplitude modulation, FM is frequency modulation, or also known as fucking magic. That's what that is. So yeah.
Yeah. So when
you even know, like Myth knows because he is also a tech guy, and frequency modulation is fucky, and nobody really truly knows how it works because nobody can really truly explain what is happening there. AM when you look at AM on an O-scope, it looks really pretty, and you're like, oh, there's my carrier signal, there's my information signal. When you look at FM on an O-scope, you're like, this is fucking weird.
I mean, yeah.
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 Like everyone knows it, but nobody really truly understands. Now then you want to get real crazy. You get into quad phase modulation. Then now you're just screwed. You look at that on an O-scope and tell me that doesn't look crazy.
Before we turn this into, a lesson of some sort.
I know, we're getting into electronics, like high level frequency transmitter electronics.
But no. So returning back to the lore entry, when you listen to Failsafe Radio at the end of this week's quest, the message you receive is from Maya Sundaresh. And Maya, I don't remember the entire message verbatim, but Maya mentions Tequal in that message.
Shit.
And it's something along the lines of Tequal failed because they had the vision needed to be a conductor for a chorus, but not the power. The witness failed because they had the power, but not the vision to be a conductor of a chorus. They wanted totalitarian control over everything.
Right.
And Maya is saying, as all people that think they're in the right do, like, well, I have both because I'm perfect.
Yeah. Of course you are, Maya. Bullshit.
Right. But she knows who Tequal is. She knows Tequal's story.
That's
taking that information with the fact that, and I know you can't see this because I took screen grabs of my own screen, that the last paragraph, they see the line of their people extend through them, through all Qugu, through all darkness and death and memory, all swept into an obliterating echo.
Oh,
Capital E.
Bitch.
Capital E echo.
So, holy shit. So do you think that this okay, so I'm going to throw a quick spin foil hat thing here. Do you think that obviously since these books dropped with this episode, episode echoes is what they're called. Do you think that these memories, so that means that that's got to be a memory of the witnesses people, which then leads me to believe that that ship was then tied to the witness because they extended their hand there and obviously knew of and met the Qugu people, which means that they knew them the entire time that they were alive, from start to finish, and extended the hand, was like, salvation is granted to you, ha ha ha, which means that And the witness directed Savathun's fleet there to clearly reclaim that pyramid and decimate the Qugu people, which means that that memory is part of the witness, and when we obliterated it, that memory was one of the blips that blipped out and has now infected the radiolaria, so that Maya Sundaresh may not be, or it may be a combination of things. It may be a combination of a living memory of the witness that just so happened to find the will of Maya of I'm still under the influence of evil Maya Sundaresh. I'm Imsun 12. Um, in that radiolaria somewhere, and just
I
molded the two together.
I think that is more or less what happened in some capacity. I think the echo of control, as it has been called in game, which is that mantle that Maya slash Lakshmi has around her neck.
Sure.
Like that is the echo, which is a physical item that is granting power and influence and all of those things. I think that echo is likely the a physical manifestation of, I would say, perhaps the entire Qugu spiritual ancestry, because it's saying
Holy
that
shit.
all of them, says it
Yeah.
sees the line of their people extend through them, through all Qugu, through the darkness and memory, and all is swept into an obliterating echo. I almost see this echo as like the witness had a spiritual pokeball and threw it at the Qugu.
Right. Well,
And
and you're not wrong. Do you think this is him finalizing them?
possibly, yeah. I could see that where
And
and
this
I
may
mean
not
that lines up
that
with the
collar
salvation.
exactly, and that collar may not be as physically manifest as we think it is. That may actually be the Kogu. That may be them.
Yeah,
That may
in
be
just
whatever's
in
left of
some
them.
new form that the witness
Yeah,
decided was most, or perhaps a form that that just happened as the witness split apart. We're still not 100% sure on the like process that these things came into being.
sure.
Um, but yeah, I think for Maya to know of to know of Tequal and know their story enough to know what she perceives as the flaws in what happened to them, like
I mean, there's
she
no
has to know those memories.
right, and we're talking about again timeline wise. We're talking about a people that was decimated before the hive even got anywhere close to the soul system,
Yeah.
which means that's way, way, way before our. I mean that again, the lifespan or the conquering march of the hive from Fundament to Saturn to the rings of Saturn uh, was 1 billion years.
Right.
Like this could have happened before the pyramids were even built on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, this is so far in the past that Maya herself would have no way of having any type of memory of this unless if she was given this or read something about it. And again, for that echo of control to be there, I'm starting to think more and more this Maya is the Imsun 12. It is just an evil Vex Maya that's been swimming around in the Vex network. And again, because it is Maya, I think Maya herself, Maya would have been a fantastic candidate for a guardian. Like I think she has a true strong will, and she is driven, and she has like all. Maybe she doesn't have like the devotion, bravery, sacrifice, all that stuff. Maybe she does. I don't know.
Maybe.
Because I mean, when you think about like what she did to get, now again, we're thinking, I'm thinking of M Sun 0, right? Like OG M Sun. Um, clearly the 227 copies of her are bad. Like
I
they're
don't know
just
that all 227, like they're all individual is the
that's
thing.
true.
Like
That is
they
true.
all have
And some
the
of them
potential to take very different paths.
and some of them were inside. They were locked away in the Vex network,
Right.
inside the Vault of Glass with Praedyth. So clearly, even some of those copies uh, had the potential to be, Vex resistant. Like they're that's the thing with a Vex copy, with a Vex simulation. It simulates every possibility ever. Like the idea, like it if it was to simulate me right now, it would simulate my left hand moving up, and then in that same instance it would simulate my right hand moving up, and in that same instance it would simulate both hands moving up. It would say, like, you know what I'm saying, like there's so many
Yeah.
possibilities of instances that could happen, and the Vex would just create another simulation and just play it out and see what would happen. Like, so for there to be one evil Maya Sundaresh, I think you're right. I don't think that all 227 copies are evil, but I also don't think that it's far flung to think that there isn't another evil Maya Sundaresh, or that there isn't,
Right.
maybe 20 of them or something like that. Like we don't have a quantitative amount that we could say, oh, and there's no like defining feature. Although clearly it's if you think the future is bad and that you are the only living thing, like I think those are like Clovis properties that got imprinted on evil Mayas, is what I'm thinking. Like,
Hard to say. I mean, I think
if you go by the
they're
moniker Lakshmi, you're clearly bad.
well, I think it's just it's different paths. It's one of those things. If you take a individual that is incredibly dedicated to progress, incredibly dedicated to experimentation, and all it takes is a little dash of means justify the ends to take someone
Yes,
that could be a brilliant but empathetic person and turn them into a brilliant but tyrannical person.
yes, and that, like, yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. So yeah, um, yeah,
But
that
yeah.
that's it. Kogu died, and now they live in Maya's neck.
I- Her necklace, I guess.
Okay,
Yeah.
necklace. I'll give you that. What are they? Well, no, because it doesn't hang down. It like comes up over the back, right? So like
No,
what
I think it's technically called a mantle, or at least that's what I've seen
mantle?
it referred
Yeah,
to as.
I like
So
that. I was thinking of like a mane, like she's like a lion, like Rawr. I'm on the prowl for Vex and salvation.
oh god.
Rawr. No,
No, no.
nope, nope, nope. That's
uh,
that's worse than that's worse than what I did the other week, where I was like, "They're watching, we're watching you." Yeah, not doing that again. Uh, okay. Well, yeah, that's the Kogu people,
that is, and that is the end of the Dynasty book.
and they did
I
die. Son of a bitch.
They did, but maybe live on? Question
Maybe
mark in a way. So hopefully we'll find out by the end
if
of
something is
the
finalized,
episode.
can it be unfinalized?
I mean, I guess it depends on how it was finalized. We certainly kind of like, or I guess the traveler had those moments in Final Shape where it was like everyone's finalized. Oh, JK, they're back. Like
I was curious on that too. Like, how much was that actively happening? Were people getting like, was the world being finalized, and then like the traveler would do a pushback, and it was kind of like resetting the world and going, no, I am not going to let you assert your will. And those were like the blips of light that we were seeing explode from the traveler like at the beginning of Final Shape campaign. Like, was that actively happening, or was that just kind of like a vision that the traveler and witness were having in a battle with each other? Like, I'm curious
yeah.
to know, like, if we started going interviewing like the little kid in the beginning that was holding the apple, like, hey, at some point in time, were you a statue?
Yeah. What was that like?
What
Please
was
describe
that
in
like?
detail.
Need documented notes, taking science experiment stuff. Have hypothesis.
Okay, Asher.
I'm telling you, man. That's all. That's all. I aperture science. We do
Yeah.
what we can because we must. Yeah, that's Asher would be a perfect Gladys. I feel like he and Gladys would just be best friends. I feel like
Oh, 100%.
like
100%.
Asher would. I oh my god! Now I've got a conversation of Asher and Gladys in my head. That's like Gladys is like, could you please get the neurotoxin gas? And Asher would just be like, yes, immediately. Please pour neurotoxin in chamber A, but not in chamber B. That is our control chamber. And then Gladys is like, but the test subject must be tested. And then that like they pour the stuff in there anyway. And then Asher's like, damn it, Gladys. No.
Destiny portal crossover when?
I want to see it, dude. If I can get just oh my god, if I could have a ghost that's just the portal gun, I'd be
That, yes.
I'm
Yes.
rambling now. Let's do some shout outs.
Okay. Yeah. So we've got a couple shout outs. We have some longer ones. So we're just gonna probably have the 2 for this time around. But we still have some backlog. So if you didn't hear yourself this time around, doesn't mean you won't.
Keep sending them. We like seeing them.
Yeah, absolutely. But the first comes to us from actually both of these come to us from our Gmail. The first is from Sartrine Penguin, who we have heard from before. But they go on to say, and this is in response to our first episode back from that little break in the lieu of the news that broke as far as the Bungie layoffs and all that stuff. So they go on to say, just wanted to write a little note after your return this week. I'm so grateful for the moment you took at the beginning of the episode to have an honest chat with us about the state of things. The community and game itself is in a weird place, and sweeping it under the rug wouldn't do any good. I'm thankful that you guys are willing to take the time you need to study yourselves as players as well as content creators. Producing a multi-hour show every week is no small task, and I know from experience how fast burnout can strike. As a fully dedicated fan to your show, just know you have our support to keep yourselves as a priority, even if that means missing out on a few episodes. That being said, it was cool to hear you come back and double down on your commitment to telling the stories of Destiny. Y'all produce a great show, and the format of readings followed by discussion provides needed context for such a nuanced story. They go on to say, I won't ramble any longer, but I want to extend my gratitude for all your hard work and dedication to continuing down the winding future road. So thank you for that, very much so. They did also have a question that I wanted to bring up. They ask, I wanted to ask about the Scion Enclave, the rebel faction behind the scenes. Have we heard anything from them since Witch Queen? The Vox Obscura mission was building them up, but I haven't noticed anything since.
I don't think we have, to be honest.
Not
when did Vox
directly.
originally drop?
Oh god. I want to say Vox Obscura
would have
was
been working with us.
I want to say it was a season or 2 after Witch Queen.
I feel like that's true.
Let's see. When did Vox Obscura actually release? Season of the Risen.
That would have been with Witch Queen then, right?
16th season, yet released alongside Witch Queen. So yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Then no, I don't think we have.
Not
but
directly.
You are right. Like they were definitely a key member because they were. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they were who were originally got the Glycon. Am I crazy?
I don't think the Glycon
was that always under Callus's control?
I'm pretty sure that was always Callus.
For some reason I remember there an event being like some ship was in a shipyard or something like that, and then like one Scion that was part of the Enclave.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm talking about?
Yep, I do remember what you're talking about. Yes, the ship was stolen from yeah, from other members of. Now I think it was stolen at that point from the Red Legion
Right.
because Callus and the Red
Stolen
Legion
by
were
the
not.
Enclave.
It was stolen by a group put together by Callus, which included the quote unquote Shadow of Earth, which was a guardian.
Yep.
And one of their members of that group was a scion. And when they were stealing the ship, they came across another, like a enemy scion that, because both that enemy scion and their scion were part of the scion conclave, although the other members of the group had no idea, they just kind of like nodded and let them do their thing.
Yeah, they just like
Yeah,
turned away and was just like, okay, yeah, if the ship disappears, it's not my job, not my problem type thing.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm not crazy then. I mean, I am, but not because I couldn't remember or not remember this thing. So those are the two instances. And again, the Scion Enclave was the same Scion Enclave that tried to kill um, Zavala at Season of
Yes.
Chosen, right?
Yep.
So this has
Yep.
been a thing that's been kind of building, that the Scions have had their own little secret faction, and they've been working behind the scenes 3 times now to try to
Mm-hmm.
like undermine uh, the Guardians, like help anything that they could. And it seems like they are okay possibly returning to a level. Well, no, because if both of the ship people, the one that was getting the ship and the one that was like turned a blind eye to him to give him the ship, if neither one of them, if nobody knows that they are part of the Enclave, I don't think that they want to return to Callus rule. I'm starting to think they
No.
want to become independent.
Yeah, they seem to be their own. They have their own motivations, and I don't know that we 100% know what those motivations are yet.
Right.
But so as far as like, have they been in the main focus since Vox Obscura? No, not to my knowledge. There has been a couple little instances here and there where they've been discussed since then. It was said that I in one of the Micah 10 dialogues, Micah talked about how the Scion Enclave was working for essentially the Shadow Legion post Callus being killed, were being led by the Scion Enclave. The Scion Enclave had hitched their ship to the Witness and taken over control of the Shadow Legion. However, Micah says that like that alliance is purely just because the Scions want purely a alliance of convenience and protection for the Scions, not because they actually believed or wanted what the Witness wanted.
Right.
Uh,
And I think primarily just because like they have the access to the cloning
yeah.
technology that Callus had, and so now they can just print out. Um, now I've got this image of 3D printing of cabals, line by line. Yeah, yeah, like, but instead of like, but in my head it makes that old dot matrix 80s
Yeah.
printer sound.
Yeah.
And it's got the little tear off things that you can fold up and make little snakes out of. Yeah. Uh, yeah. So I think that's I think that's the primary reason that they're still around. Like I think for the most part they are kind of adrift. Like I don't think they have any true.
Yeah, I don't know that they don't have any like true motivations or powers. I think it's
Yeah,
just they're biding their time at the moment.
I
Cuz
think you're right.
I do believe that they were still mentioned in the mission where we return to, not the inverted spire. Uh the
Oh, Kargath.
yeah, the Kargath mission.
Uh,
When you do that
why
with
can we
Micah
never
10.
remember the name of that damn one?
I know.
We
It's
always remember Inverted Spire, but we can't remember that one.
I know. I know. But regardless, like they mention, they go over that. Well, someone was trying to access. And I think Atzat was trying to access this because they're looking to duplicate uh, the Oxa machine.
Yep.
Um,
And even the one that's in there that's accessing it is a clone as well. Still
right.
part of the cloning
That
facility
Kargan.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yep, that Kargan is.
Yeah. So there's definitely um definitely things they're doing in the background, and actually, again, very mild spoiler for the latest exotic mission. There's a line of dialogue because Shadow Legion are present in that mission in some places, and there's a line that suggests that the Shadow Legion are now just under the control of the Scion Conclave, and the
Makes
Scions have
sense.
sent the Shadow Legion into that space to try and, you know,
Fuck shit up.
presumably claim the echo of control for themselves.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But as far as the rest of your stuff, there, yeah, we couldn't not address anything, and then we definitely needed that week to kind of like recenter and refocus.
Yes. It would have been a very different show if we had gone into that like the next day and been, well,
Well, shit. End
yeah.
of the world has happened. Bye, guys.
Yeah. So, but I greatly appreciate the like the reassurance to take some time if needed, because I think that's something that any anyone that has a audience of some sort struggles with, that whole like the the obligation, the feeling of like I need to put something out there. And we talked about that a little bit with why we don't necessarily want to go a paid route or like make money off this, because that just intensifies that. But
Yep.
even without a monetary contribution, it's still there. We still want to, live up to expectations as much as we can. And
Yeah.
it's nice to hear that, that idea of like, it's all right
Yeah.
if you need a little bit of time. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Also, one last little poke too, because you are a penguin, Sartrean. Hopefully, we're saying that right. Know that you are not the only penguin. If I turn around, there is a 3 foot tall stuffed penguin behind me, because Mystic Penguin, my lovely significant other, is a penguin fanatic, and penguins line my house. They are fucking everywhere. As well as my kiddo. He is the
Yeah.
penguin kid. So, yes,
So
penguins
there
will
you go.
eventually rule the world. And if you ever get a chance, go to Moody Gardens down in Galveston, Texas, and you can feed penguins.
Well, there you go.
We keep missing it by like 20. Every time we've gone, we've missed it by like 20 minutes or like an hour or something. And it drives my wife nuts. She's like, we need to go there and feed the damn penguins.
Ah,
But yes.
but our second shout out here, quite an interesting one. I really I like, as we're reading through this one, all that, just the opening my mind to some different connections here that I never would have thought of. They asked for their name not to be said, so 100% we'll abide by that. But this listener went on to send a message saying, uh, I have been struggling with the news from Bungie as well in relation to the layoffs and stuff. I'm thankful to hear that their work has lived on and is in good hands for the foreseeable future in the episodes. I'm a Titan main, but I guess my obsession with the lore makes me sound like a warlock at times.
I'm telling you,
Uh,
if you like to punch things with swords and shotguns, you are a Titan at your heart of hearts. That's why everyone says I'm a Titan. But I
mhm.
also like going invisible, which means that I'm also a hunter. But I also like to not read or do homework and listen to myth just spin stories to me. So I'm also a warlock.
Now, I'm pretty sure that brings you back to Titan.
That might bring me back to Titan. You're not, probably not wrong.
But they continue. As you mentioned in the Salvation's Edge episode, I was thinking about the resonance shapes of triangle, circle, and square.
Yeah.
So, for anyone not aware, there's a mechanic in the raid where you have to get different types of resonance, and they display as either a triangle, circle, or square. Uh, as an Aikido practitioner, I reflected on something the founder of Aikido spoke about. with those exact same shapes. Founder of Aikido made literal and symbolic reference, still up to interpretation, of course, to those shapes in developing the art. Without going too deeply into the philosophy, I would describe it as a martial art that emphasizes harmonizing and balancing forces between you, the attacker, and a deeper level nature of the universe.
We got
If I
some
rec-
cultured motherfuckers in here.
You're not wrong.
This is fucking amazing.
They go on. If I recall correctly, in Shinto, the same shapes, Sangen, I'm guessing on pronunciation, are also meant to show the three origins and to explain the meaning of and the destiny of human life and the cosmic order of the universe. I couldn't help but draw that correlation when thinking about the witness's intent of the final shape to harmonize everything in
Holy
their
shit.
vision. Aikido aims to build on that balance for a better world and bettering people. But as we know, the witness's interpretation of finality uh, in order of it is much more dangerous to the universe in game. If this is what Bungie narrative intended with the symbology, that would be amazing. It
I
would it
I
would be.
I would not be surprised if that is exactly where they drew that from.
They finish off, thanks again for your work, and your episodes are easily the highlight of my weeks. Always happy to have some lore friends.
So I'm
So
just gonna say, just from the reading of this, you are a Titan main because you like to punch stuff, like any type of martial prowess. You like to punch, but the fact that you've taken the time to study this at a deeper level means that you are a secret warlock. So I'm just gonna let you know right now, you are a closet warlock. Just
you
like
are
I'm a
the
closet
inverse
Titan,
of
you are
Zor.
the
Yeah.
inverse of me. You are a Titan who is you are a warlock posing as a Titan. You don't like the full dress. You just like the belt and the butt towel. I get it. I'm the opposite. I like the full dress because I want to be pretty.
Nothing wrong with that.
But holy shit.
Yeah, I knew and still outside of what you have described here and a little bit of auxiliary reading that it has gotten me to go do I do not know anything about Aikido and didn't know that there were these correlations with the shapes, but it does fit really
Yeah, it does.
nicely.
Well, and they even included a drawing here, which is I'm assuming this is like an original art of what the original ideas of the philosophy of Aikido was, and it's a square, triangle, and a circle, and I'm just like, holy shit!
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's no way that Bungie didn't look at that and go, "Oh, harmony, yeah, no, that's what we're doing in here. This is what's happening."
It fits way too perfectly, and even if it wasn't the intention, I think this is one of those beauties of having such a vast passionate community is like you can find pieces that mean something to you that might mean something to you in a completely different way as somebody else, but you can both get something really awesome out of it, and then you can spread that around with other people, and like everything about this is just great.
I
Like
love it.
from a tying it to the real world point of view, from a like bringing it back to the witnesses kind of philosophy and a
You
fundamental flaw
all
in
you
it.
guys out there
Like,
do your fucking homework, and y'all are fucking listening, and I love it. I
yeah.
fucking love it.
So thank you so much for sending this in. This was a really cool one to see and learn about and kind of think about. And again, if it wasn't the direction they intended, I think it is now, whether
Yeah,
they want it to
that's
be or
happening.
not.
That's canon now, whether that's is or isn't.
Yeah. So thank you very much. And to all the listeners out there, if you liked what you heard tonight and you want to support us in some way, leaving a review on your platform of choice goes a long way. Or sharing us with a friend if there's someone you think might be interested in the stories of the Destiny universe. If you feel strongly enough that you want to leave a text review or reach out, you can do so at Myths and Stories on Twitter, youtube.com/@Myths and Stories, or missingstories@gmail.com. And you may hear it yourself as a future shout out.
Yeah. I'm gonna thank Asher and Gladys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's happening.
It tracks.
I'm just the two crazy scientists in one room who would just do science for the sake of science. Gotta do science. I feel like Asher would like cake.
Maybe.
Cake
I don't
for
know.
science.
I can't see Asher liking much of anything.
Literally
Yeah.
anything. Maybe he likes neurotoxin gas. I don't know. Probably does. He does like shooting things. I mean,
Yeah.
scientist that he was, the first thing he did was shoot the damn thing. That tracks.
Yeah.
That tracks.
Is still a great line.
That's still one of my favorites, but quite possibly my favorite line ever. So yeah, thank you, Asher, and thank you, Gladys, for being crazy, but knowing in your heart of hearts that science comes first. Science rules the world. Science rules everything, and I love it. But maybe please don't do it near neurotoxin or, thermonuclear devices.
Or Black Mesa.
Maybe Black Mesa. That was a joke. Ha ha. Fat chance. All right. Now that I'm going to get written up for copyright infringement. You got anything else, Smith?
That's it.
All right. Well, then from all of us lore daddies to all of you guardians out there, whether you be Titan mains, Warlock mains, or the ever-elusive invisible hunter mains that we can't see anyway, we'll see you next time.
You found your people. Guardians do love their myths and stories.